Joining with me today for the devotion on Friday, September the 17th. I want to ask you today to be praying for my mom, Gertrude Rollins. Chapter 25, I think, picks up really right from chapter 24. Matt did both days of chapter 24. And of course, at the end of it, it talks about that faithful servant who continues to serve God, not knowing exactly when he will come back, but that the Lord returns and finds that servant doing what God has called him to do. Because there's three stories told in chapter 25, and all three of them really have to do with accounts, which we will give. Now, the first two are called parables, and the last one is not referred to as a parable. It is referred to, I think, as Jesus gives the account of how it's going to happen. Accountability is something I think the Bible talks about maybe more than we want to think about. It is not just the accountability of salvation, but it is the accountability of our works as well. Now, when we look at the first parable that is given here, the parable of the wise and the foolish virgins, there's a total of 10 of them. And there's something that is said in both of these parables. Here's verse 5 of the first parable. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. So here they are. We're thinking about the return of the bridegroom, but they go into this time of slumbering and sleeping. But he returns, the cry is given, and it's what we see is that the 5 foolish ones are not prepared. They have not gotten the oil for their lamps. The other 5 have gotten oil for their lamps. And I don't want to press these things too far, and I'm probably trying to cram a lot into a short devotion. But I certainly see this, the oil of the Holy Spirit. We will not be saved without the Holy Spirit. We receive Christ. The Spirit of Christ comes to live within inside of us. And, maybe on the outside, these all looked alike and they had their lamps and this or that. But you and I, there is this thing, you must be born again. And it is being prepared for when the Lord either comes to call us home or whether we're called home from here. Well, as the people of God, too, we're giving these gifts to serve the Lord. And there's 3 different people. One gets 5 talents, one 2 talents, one 1 talent. I want to read verse 19. It kind of reflects back to verse 5. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with him. Sometimes I think, we live life and we've been talking about the Lord's coming forever and ever. But there is a fact that God will settle accounts with us. And we need to live as people, even as God's people, who understand that we will give an account for the lives in which we have lived. But the person with 5, and 2, both went and doubled them. And the Lord said to both of them, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of the Lord. Now notice, he did not condemn the one who only came up with 4, they had 2 and got 4, by saying, why didn't you come up with 10? The Lord asks us to be faithful with what he entrusts to us. I'm not held accountable for something that somebody else has. Neither are you. But the person who had the 1 went and hid it. God never calls us to hide the giftings he has given to us. You may not think yours matters as much as somebody else's. Whatever we have, we are to put it to work for the glory of God. But then the last one, and it's called the Son of Man will judge the nations. And but I'm going to just look at it from an individual standpoint here for a moment. Jesus said, I was hungry, you fed me, thirsty, you gave me something to drink, naked, you clothed me, sick, you visited me, on and off. Lord, when did we ever see you doing any of those things? When did we do that? And Jesus said, when you've done it unto one of the least of these my brethren. I've often said to you, I don't know what shoe size Jesus wears. But here's what I do know. When we do things for the least, and maybe even those who some people think you should not do for them, when we do it for the least with the right spirit, we've done it unto the Lord. I know I haven't done a lot of prison ministry last few years, but I heard people say, well, they're just getting what they deserve. Well, first of all, that's not my judgment call. But Jesus said, I was in prison and you came and visited me. Now, I'm assuming even in Jesus' time, everybody who was in prison wasn't innocent. But Jesus said, by visiting them, you visited me. He asked Peter, do you love me? Yeah, Lord, I love you, and feed my sheep. Here's what he was saying. He didn't say, Peter, you love my sheep. Do you love me? Then feed my sheep. Here he's not really saying, do you love the least of these? It's really, do you love me and want to do for me? Well, you can do for me by caring for the least of these. Let's ask God to help us see the downcast and even the outcast as the opportunity to do unto him. Hey, I hope something in this has helped you today. And let's live thanking God for his salvation that he has given us through the blood of Christ, but also recognizing that we will give an account for all that he has entrusted to us.